Welcome back to the Shop Mini RC, everybody. I'm Ken, and today we're looking at something really new. Look at these guys back here. HPI, you already saw the intro. You already know what it is. It's this little guy here. Oh my goodness. HPI. They've been around for a while, guys, and they do on-road, they do off-road, they do bashers. They've got a 5th scale buggy, they've got 8th scales, they've got 10th scales, and they've got one crawler, the Venture. But now we've got two. The Venture 18 just entered the market, and this little thing, oh my goodness. All right, we're going to go ahead and open this one up because we've got two. So look at this, guys. They offered in red as well. Oh my goodness. What a cool looking rig. It's a licensed Toyota, guys. The SR5 Hilux is such an iconic vehicle. And the one in black, Back to the Future, anybody? Come on. You know, if you grew up with Back to the Future, you saw this truck on the back of that trailer and you wanted it. You wanted it. It didn't matter if you liked Toyotas or not. You wanted it. It's such a cool looking truck. Such an icon. And HPI looks like they knocked it out of the park with this guy. I cannot wait to dive into it, show you what it's all about. There's so many cool features. You already saw this one's brushless. They got a brushed version. So totally depending on the type of budget or type of class you might be running, because some classes don't allow brushless. So maybe you need a brushed version for that class. Pretty awesome. And yeah, I'm just excited, and it's so cool to see a new truck hit the market. Like, not just another new truck from a manufacturer that's been doing it, but a manufacturer like HPI who does great quality products jumping into the 18 scale, small scale crawler market is so exciting to see. It just shows how much this market's growing. And yeah, I know you guys are like, shut up, just show us. All right, let's get into here, guys. I cannot get over just how good these things look. Just the detail is gorgeous. That's a chrome right there. Well, not chrome, but aluminum. It's metallic. It's a metallic sticker. We got all of the Toyota livery going on here. The black is just blacked out as it should be. Oh, it looks so good, guys. Well, not totally blacked out, right? We got the logos. But yeah, it looks amazing. I love the graphics. I love that the lights are a warm glow versus a bright, you know, that just would have been wrong if they were a white light versus the yellow. You got that chrome Toyota up in there. Ugh, mirrors. The mirrors are hard plastic. Kind of wish they were more of a rubbery plastic. I always like rubbery plastics on stuff like this so that they're less likely to break. But I don't know. We'll see. They seem fine. They're just, they're more of a hard plastic. But I love the light buckets. All the light buckets look great. The fog lights, the bumpers, man, they just look so good. Our windshield wipers look great. Light bars, it would have just been over the top if they could have given us lights in our light bars and our bumper. That would have been bonkers, but I get it. I get it. There's already signals and all that good stuff. And when we open it up, you'll see all the wiring. You can probably kind of see it in there. Tons of wiring in there already just for the lights, but such a great looking body, guys. It's a Lexan body. Tucks right into these nice rock rails here, rock runners. Our body mount system, you saw that already, but it's just this little clip here. It turns, and then you can just open it right up. Simple as that. We're on a nice hinge back here. It looks like it's very stable. It's mounted to both the top of the Lexan as well as the bumper, so it's all kind of one piece. Very cool. All of our wiring nice and routed. Oh, looks so good. Looks so good. It's to be expected, though. HPI does very quality stuff. I love that the wheels are very classic, you know, steely wheel with our locking hubs in there. All 4 lock, but that's okay. The tires feel nice. These tires don't feel too bad at all. Definitely feel like they're going to be grippy. I dig that tread pattern. If you know what that tread pattern is, if that's an actual manufactured tread pattern, tell me in the comments below. What tread pattern is that? It says treads here. What size? 60 by 23.5 by 1.2. So they're 1.2s, 60 millimeters. Very cool. They call it rock thorns? Rock thorn. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. We do have oil-filled shocks. They feel nice and smooth. I feel like maybe a little thicker oil might be, maybe? I don't know. It's hard to say until we run them. This actually doesn't seem too bad. Just initially felt like it could maybe use a little bit heavier oil, but I think we're good, actually. The spring rate seems just about right. I like that spring rate. It sits so good. It sits so good, guys. Oh my God. I'm so excited for these. And they came out of nowhere. Was not expecting this vehicle. Wasn't even on my radar. Did not even think HPI would remotely entertain the idea of a small scale crawler. They already do the venture tent scale, like I mentioned. And, you know, those trucks are pretty good from my understanding. We don't have one, so I don't know exactly. I don't want to give you information. But from what I've heard, they seem like they're pretty good. On the price point and, you know, the quality of them. I don't know how much aftermarket support there is. That might be a concern with these guys as well. But I do know HPI said that they're going to be doing some aftermarket upgrades or, you know, some metal brass type upgrades. So that'll be cool to see because we love upgrading our trucks. We always change things out. So hopefully if they do that, we'll be able to get some of that stuff and we'll show you the upgrades that are available and show you how to install them. But I think they knocked it out of the park here with the look and the fact that they come with a brushed or a brushless. And you can get either one in either color. Your brushed you can get in red or black, and your brushless you can get in red or black. So it's the exact same truck, just different powertrains, and that is awesome. We're beeping away here. Let's go ahead and turn these guys off. I just like the lights. I like the lights. Power switch on the brushed right here with all of our electronics. Got a nice little switch. It's a 2-in-1 combo on the brushed version. We are running a 55 turn brushed motor. Here's our battery. Let's dig into that. Plasma. It's an HPI branded battery, but it's a 600 milliamp 10C. Yeah, buddy. 2S. All right. We're also running these little connectors, so that's cool. I kind of dig that. And they are official. These are official connectors. They're not knockoffs. So you know you're getting a quality connector here. A lot of these different connectors have knockoff brands, and they look almost exactly the same. But over time, maybe they start to weaken. Their connection doesn't hold, or they short a little bit when they wiggle. You always kind of want to make sure you go with the brand name. And you can see it right there, AMAS. Okay, so little XT30s, very cool. Loving that. And yeah. Oh, did I mention it's a 2-speed? It's a 2-speed, guys. How freaking cool is that? Let's look at the brushless before we move away from our power and electronics. Here's our brushless setup, and did you see that? It's a Venom, ladies and gentlemen. We're running Furatech electronics in this guy. This looks like it's going to be the Lizard Lite because I've got the little push button programmer. So we have the Lizard Lite here. Looks like it's rebranded as the FLX 182530. But I bet if we hooked up our Bluetooth dongle to there, it would come up on our Furatech Furacar app and we'd be able to see that. And we'll probably go ahead and hook a dongle up to this a little bit later and see what that looks like when we dive into the ESC and electronics a little bit more. Right now, we're just doing the overview. But here you go, is your separate ESC and receiver, as well as a light control, which is very cool. These are running the very familiar 6-channel Fly Skies. I believe the Hobby Plus 6x6 comes with this guy. Also, the new LC80 from FMS comes with this remote, and they are fantastic. So I am super happy to see that HPI went with this system. The new Fly Sky electronics are just killer. So very cool that they were using this. Again, 6-channel. So we have all of our different buttons for that 6-channel. Our channel 3 here, our channel 4, and you saw those guys light up when you use them. Very cool. Our channel 5, which is a binary basically. A lot of times they use this for the lights, but on this guy we're using our channel 3 for lights. And you can use this for a winch potentially, things of that nature. And then right here, our channel 6, that is going to be for our 2-speed. You're going to have low speed or low gear, a neutral, and a high gear for ripping around on the trails, and that low speed for crawling. So very cool. While we're on our transmitter here, we do have our throttle dual rate, our throttle trim, our steering dual rate and our steering trim. I love that they're actual knobs. Kind of don't like the button presses where it's like click, 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 click to change your trim. I'd rather just have a knob. Super convenient. We have our bind button here, steering, reverse, and throttle reverse. So if you, for some reason, need to change your steering left and right, you can do that there, or your throttle, you can do that right there. We have our dip switches here. The very first dip switch is for our drive mode, which currently is set to forward, reverse, but you can flip that little dip switch up and you will get forward, brake, let go, reverse. And usually that's for like bashers or race cars or buggies, things that go fast where you need a forward and a brake, forward brake, because you don't want to just forward brake on a monster truck or a basher because then you'll break stuff. So forward brake, reverse is for go fast cars, but because we're a crawler here, we are set to forward and reverse because that makes it easier when you're on the rocks. However, these little guys rip, so that forward brake reverse might come in handy if you're doing some Ultra 4 or something. The next thing we have is switching the truck ESC to nickel metal or LiPo. You want it set on LiPo so that you have low voltage cutoff. Then you also have your drag brakes, which are going to be the 3 and 4. And then the 5 and 6 are going to change around your channel reverses, I believe for channel 3 and 4. We'll double check on that. No, sorry, it's for channel 4 and 5. Channel 4 and 5 are going to reverse there. And that's going to be our 5th and 6th dip switch. All right. We probably have a video out there already that goes pretty deep into this transmitter, how to set all your endpoints and whatnot. I'll probably put a link over here. It might be for a different brand vehicle, but it's going to be the same process. Also, a cool thing about these transmitters, you can do a 2S LiPo. So just plug a 2S LiPo with your red JST in there, put it in there, and the transmitter will know that it's a 2S LiPo and have low voltage cutoff set for that as well. That way you don't drain your LiPo and damage it. And yeah, it's just a lot more convenient to run LiPo in there. And it'll last a lot longer too. So yeah, very cool transmitter. Super happy about that. I also noticed, give me just a second, in our little bag of goodies that came with the trucks, looks like it's got a thumb steer here. Boom. So you're able to pull off this wheel and throw a thumb steer on there, which is awesome that HPI has included this. It's the first time I've seen it. It's even got the HPI logo on there. Very cool that they included that. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We'll throw this on there. It should be super simple. I believe it's literally just one screw there and then 2 screws in the back, and then we're good to go. Here, let's go ahead and do it right now. Just a 2.5 millimeter hex. That'll get our wheel off here. I do like that these guys have foam wheels. Very nice. Very squishy. All right, let's see. And then this guy goes like that. Oh, nice. And what are these? Phillips heads? So we'll just throw a Phillips head screw in here. A Phillips screw in here. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Boom. How easy is that? I love when stuff is easy. I love things like that that allow newer people to kind of get in there, break out a screwdriver or a hex driver, and mess with their rig. Now, this is messing with the remote, not the rig, but still, same concept. Super simple. And there we go. Nice and one-handed driving. I mean, you can do it without it if you have bigger hands, but it is kind of a reach. So I do like that they include that for people with smaller hands or that don't want to have to strain to reach. We got bigger hands, so it's not too bad, but this definitely makes it easier. All right, let's get back in that truck. So again, the brushless rig, our power is going to be right here on the back. Boom, we're off. Comes with the same battery. Our motor is the FearTech Venom, and you can see here, it's nice and labeled with HPI Racing. Very cool. It is a 1212 size motor and 3450 kV. These motors have been awesome. I know a lot of people use them. I know a lot of other trucks use them, some RTRs, and they're a good upgrade kit for a lot of the other rigs out there. FearTech has a bunch of different upgrades, and one of them is the starter upgrade, and that's this guy, and it is fantastic. It is such a good motor for the price. And some say you can run 3S on it. I wouldn't run 3S on it. These are 2S right here, but you know, if you really wanted to try, you probably could. Just know that if you fry it, you let out the magic smoke, that's on you. 2S only, guys. I think this ESC is also able to go to 3S, no problem. But again, the box says 2S. Follow instructions, kids. Anyway, very cool. This 2-speed transmission looks very familiar. This looks like a Hobby Plus design here. So I wanted to point that out because a lot of people will probably point that out for me if I don't. So yeah, this definitely looks like a Hobby Plus transmission. But the nice thing about that is the Hobby Plus 2-speeds are rock solid. Rock solid. We may open this up and show you guys what it's about, just because a lot of you that are coming for the HPI may not be new to these mini crawlers, and you may not have seen what the insides of this stuff looks like. So we're going to dive deep, guys. This is going to be a long one. Make sure you use the chapters below if you want to skip around and see something. We're going to open up our diffs. We'll probably open up a shock, show you what, if you got metal gears in there. We're not on portals. We're on straight axles, so don't have to worry about the portal gears. But yeah, we're gonna take a look at this much closer. Maybe even open up a transmission just to show you if there's metal gears in there as well. Hell, we might even open up one of these servos. My guess is they're plastic gears on these servos. They are branded a 02 MGWR SD. So I'm not sure if HPI uses those in other vehicles, maybe as shift servos in their bigger crawler or whatnot. But they're both branded the same. Oh wait, no they aren't. I lied. This one is an SD01WR. Whereas our steering servo is an SD02MG. That probably stands for Metal Gear, guys. All right, we'll open this servo up and we'll look. Maybe both. I don't know. Depends on the time we have. We just want to go drive them, but we got to do our due diligence here and show you guys what they're all about. So fun. So fun. All right, well, let's start taking them apart. Our wheel hex is going to be a 5mm here. And again, this truck does come with tools. Well, not tools, but it comes with a hex wrench. So it comes with one of these little T-wrench guys. But I highly recommend, if you're going to be in the hobby, get yourself a good set of tools. They will treat you right. Oh, I love it. They're actual beadlock wheels. How awesome is that? That means we can pull these tires off and we can use them on a different wheel if we want, or we can pull the tires off and put new tires on this wheel, swap the wheels, swap the tires, whatever we want to do. They are at 1.2, so keep that in mind. But man, that's awesome that we're able to just pull a tire right off. It's not glued on. I love that. Thank you so much, HPI, for giving us an actual beadlock, because some people want to keep these wheels and swap tires, or some people want to put, new wheels on, like black wheels to match our black truck, but they want to keep the tires. So yeah, that's such a happy there. Happy. All right, let's pull our hex off. It's a standard hex, obviously, same as all the micros. Little 7mm here. All right. So that is standard, so you can use any of your normal micro stuff. Looks like we're running on bushings here. Let's get our pin out. I don't want to lose that. Make sure you guys don't lose your pins if you pull off your hex hub there. Little tiny axle pin there. But yeah, it looks like we're on bushings there. So I'm curious to see if we're also on bushings in the transmission. And you can also see our big bushing there for our CVD. Looks like it is a CVD, so no dog bones. Love that. All right, I do want to go ahead and open up this axle. So let's pull this whole front end apart here. Our screws look like they're all hex hardware, 1.5mm, probably M2s. So that's pretty standard on the 18th scale with a lot of the different manufacturers. I know there's some that vary, but most of them are going to be M2 hardware. There we go. Get our knuckle out. Again, all bushings. Here's our nice little CVD. Looks like we're at 1.9mm. And then 2.5mm there for the actual thickness of the shaft. It's going to be 2.5, so it's going to be M2.5 for the this axle thread for your nut, and then our actual axle here, where our pin goes through, is going to be 4mm, so that's a good size. Again, your weakest point is always going to be the smallest point, so if anything was going to break on here, it's going to be in the CVD, or you're going to break the axle shaft right here where it flattens out, because again, the material gets smaller there. But these seem beefy, so I'm not worried at all about those breaking. They are very beefy. Let's go ahead and start to pull apart the front diff and see what's inside our front diff. Now, while you're in here working, if you pulled your knuckles off, be aware there's little bushings right here. Actually, I'll pull this one out right now just so we don't lose it. We already pulled the bottom one out, but you can see there's little metal bushings. Don't lose them. The flanged or flat part goes to the inside of the C-hub. So your flange goes in this way and this way. And they're just little tiny metal bushings. Don't lose them. That'll be a bad day. And let's get this cover off. Super simple, just those 4 screws, 2 bottom ones, and these 2 top ones actually hold the servo mount on. So if you do that, you can see the servo mount will lift up right off of the axle. There is a screw right through here that is going to be part of our upper links as well to get the entire tray off, but this should be enough to get us our front diff apart. Nice and greased up in there. Good job, HPI, making sure things are nice and greased. And then we are on bushings again here. So there we have the spool or the diff, whatever you want to call it, the ring and our pinion. Now this ring and pinion is the same ring and pinion gear ratio wise and everything else that is in the Hobby Plus Arctos. So it's basically underdrive compared to the CR18P portal trucks. So it's like an underdrive gear. So if you happen to get one of these and you happen to get you have a CR18P, you can actually swap one of the gears from here into the CR18P and you'll get underdrive in that truck and then overdrive in this truck. Now, this thing is going to have probably a good amount of wheel speed and whatnot because it's on straight axles versus the portals, and portals do gear down a little bit, but the straight axles generally have a lot less slop in the drive line. So there's pluses and minuses to both sides, but very cool that it's using the same gears as the Hobby Plus CR18Ps and the FX 118s from Tech. So very cool, very cool. All right. And now we've got the servo out. It's just simple 2 screws here at the servo mount. They're Phillips head screws. Kind of odd that they went with Phillips heads there, but that and the servo horn screw here is also Phillips, but that's fine. And then we're going to go ahead and pull the screws out here and take a look inside the servo, see what we got. Boom, there we go. All metal gears in there, guys. All metal gears. Look at that. Even our bottom gear, a lot of times this bottom gear is plastic because it doesn't take a ton of strain. But even this guy is a metal. Different metal than these. These look like they're brass. It's probably some sort of mixed metal. But yeah, very cool. Very cool. We're not waterproofed. You can see that. Doesn't look like there's any conformal coating or anything on there. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, good to see an all metal servo. I appreciate that. This guy's going to be plastic though. We're not going to open this up. I already know it's going to be plastic. But it's a shift servo, not a big deal. You also kind of don't want a ton of weight up high and in the middle here. So having the weight on the axle is totally fine. It's actually where you prefer to have it. Let's go ahead and get this guy back together. Remember, if you ever remove your servo horn, make sure your center trim is trimmed, right, for your steering right there. Be fully centered and then put your servo horn on. That way your steering is straight. Make sure you get it as straight as possible. And then once you're all the way on, if you need to adjust your trim, you're able to, and it's going to be a minimal amount adjustment. You'll be able to have your full throw left and right and a minimal adjustment to straighten out your steering. Super simple. One thing I wanted to point out is the steering on this is awesome. We went ahead and turned our dual rate all the way up, so you make sure it's all the way up that we get the max amount of steering. And then these CVDs, you can see, we're almost touching on the knuckles. They're going so far. And when you give it throttle, well, our back tires were touching there, but let's go ahead and we'll do it like this. And we'll give it throttle under full steering, and you get no jumping. It's super smooth. A lot of times when you start to get max on your steering angle, you'll see some jerkiness or jolting or jumping in the axle as the CVD is spinning, or the dog bone, or however you've got it set up. But these CVDs seem pretty smooth. Pretty awesome. All right, let's go ahead and look at a shock. Now we're on to the shocks. Look at that. There are 3 shock mounting positions on here. I love that. That's one thing I absolutely love, is that when you can tinker with a rig setup right out of the box. So we have 3 shock mounting positions here in the front. There's also 3 here in the back, so you can adjust your shock angles and whatnot. I love that. I absolutely love that. And if you want to get crazy, it looks like you could probably lift your truck by putting new holes in here. You might have to, oh, there's not a lot of material, it looks like, back in here, but maybe you could, or you could put another cross brace there, and you can get creative if you really wanted to lift this guy. But I definitely dig that there's adjustability right out of the box. Super sweet. These shocks feel pretty smooth, They should be oil filled. They feel oil filled. I feel like the oil's not super heavy, but we'll go ahead and open it up. This is all plastic with an aluminum collar and aluminum cap. I kind of dig that. Plastic usually has a little bit better durability on the shock ends, at least on bashers. I guess on crawlers is not such a big deal, but it does also help keep the weight a little lower, so that's nice. Usually on bashers, I've been liking these plastic eye joints, link ends. Having those plastic and then aluminum everywhere else is nice. But again, this is an RTR, and for a regular, it's like $149, and for a brushless, it's $199. That's just nuts. That's so good with what we're getting in this guy. Now, hopefully I don't make too big of a mess here. We do have some extra shock wheel if we need to. Oh, look at that. Okay, awesome. So we'll go ahead and show you. We have a C-clip in there, and then our shock shaft will pop out. Kind of wanted to see the actual assembly of our valve, but I don't really want to get all the oil out of there. But here, we'll go ahead and do that. Get my shock tool. You always kind of want to use a shock tool if you're going to disassemble your shock shaft. One of the worst things is to mess up your shock shaft and ding it up. So using a shock tool, they're usually a softer aluminum. They're not going to ding up your shock shaft as much as like pliers would, if at all. If you're using them properly, you should never damage your shock shaft at all, because again, they're super soft, and you just want to make sure you have enough grip to hold them without scratching it up or marring up your shock shaft here. All right, let's see what we got. When you're pulling it through, be careful that you don't tear up your O-ring. So I pulled it through fairly slow there, and there you go. You can see your bypass. It's just two little holes here, and that helps your oil pass through. Is this unscrew or clip? Let's see. It's going to open up this too. We're going to probably have to add some oil back in. That's okay. All right, so our shock cap, is this a separate piece? No, all one piece there. And then let's go ahead and see if we can get our seal stack out. Oh yeah, no problem. Look at that. So they're not totally full of oil. You can see they're not pouring out, but there's definitely oil in there, but not a ton. So we're going to go ahead and add some oil. But there's our seal stack, shock seal stack, and that's good. It's O-ring, bushing O-ring, and that keeps it nice and smooth and keeps it from binding up, and then keeps the oil from leaking. So these should be pretty good. We shouldn't see much leaking as long as these seals seal it up properly, and they do feel like they do. So that's good. Let's go ahead and drop this guy back in. A lot of times when you put shocks together, you kind of want to push them through and then put your O-rings on and your seal stack. That way you don't tear up the O-rings, because when they're inside the body of the shock housing here and you push the threading through, you can tear up the O-rings on really high tolerance shocks. These ones aren't super high against plastic, but on aluminum ones you can sometimes see that. So these seem fine. They might, I don't know, we'll see if they leak, but they're not leaking now. They haven't leaked out of the box yet. So I think we're okay. I'll go ahead and put this back together. But yeah, you just want to make sure your threading doesn't tear up your O-rings. Simple as that. So put your shaft through, then put your O-rings on, and then tuck them up into the shock housing. That's usually the best process. Yeah, nice. All right. Another thing of note is this cap has a bladder here, so that you don't get as much cavitation, right? That bladder helps you fill the shock all the way and then not have it over compress inside there. And by having that little bit of bladder in there, when it's compressing and moving, it helps prevent bubbles from forming and foaming up in the shock oil. Okay. We're going to go ahead and refill these guys with some 60 weight. Yeah. No. Yeah, 60 weight. Is that what we want? 20 weight, 60 weight. Let's do 20 weight. Go ahead and fill this guy back up. Get it right there to the end. We're going to try to roll this on, and then we'll tighten her down. We got a little bit extra in there, I think. So we're going to loosen it. You can get a little bit of oil leaking out. Go ahead and compress this down. and then tighten her down. There we go. Nice. Okay, good thing to note, because these are plastic, make sure you don't over tighten your link end, because if you do, it's going to compress onto your ball joint here. You can see we're nice and loose now, but if I tighten it up just a little bit more, it'll actually push down on it, and now that ball joint doesn't want to move. It's like it's stuck. So make sure you back it off if you do that. Again, don't over tighten, and just make sure your ball joint's nice and loose, and you're good to go. Actually, let me clean this up before we assemble it all the way. Nice. All right, we're going to do the other 4 shocks, and then we'll move on, I guess, to the transmission. And to do the other 4 shocks, we don't really have to take them all the way off. We can just pull off the top portion, and then we can pull off the shock cap and check the oil. Fill it up, top it off, be good to go. Yeah, they need a little bit more oil. All right, easy peasy. We're going to move these guys back just a little. We're going to just the front. We're just going to get that little bit of extra articulation by leaning it back. The further you lean back your shocks, the more articulation and dropout you're going to get. Now, there's a limit. You don't want to go too far. Generally, shocks work best when they're completely vertical. The more you lean them back, the softer it makes the spring, the softer, right? And so you're going to get a little bit softer spring, and you're going to get a little bit more travel in the articulation. Again, if you put them way back here, you can imagine they would drop all the way out, right? Because that's the only thing holding your axle up, and then they would compress all the way even more, right? You could drop them all the way back to where your links are. You'd have an infinite amount of travel in your axle. So to get more flex or articulation, you literally just drop your shock back. You don't have to increase the length if you don't want to go that way. Increasing the length will also increase your travel, obviously, but with the same length shock, just repositioning it's going to give you more articulation or less. And again, we don't like a ton of articulation. We want a controllable truck, but we'll see where this goes just that little bit. Now we'll go ahead and dive into the transmission. Let's pull this guy out. Should be super easy. Should just be the 3 bolts here on the skid. And then we'll be able to pull her right out. Well, yeah, the shift servo linkage that we have to pull out too, but simple as that. And then we just got to get the shift servo linkage undone, which, let's see, get our drive shaft out under there. There we go. May have to clip our zip tie here just because it's not letting me move it very far. Always be super careful clipping zip ties. You don't want to nip your wires. Oh yes, much easier to negotiate now. And this guy should just wrap around. Wrap around. And we'll be out. Ta-da! All right, let's go ahead and pull off our drive shaft. We'll open her up. So here's the entire gearbox. Got our output shaft for the front, and then our output shafts for the rear, and our shift rod here. Now, there are 2 output shafts for the rear, and that is because they are reverse rotation. So one spins the opposite direction of the other. I can show you here on the other truck. If you look at the drive shafts, they're spinning counter to each other. They're not spinning the same direction. See that? What that does is it helps eliminate torque twist. So if you notice some trucks when you're driving, you'll see them kind of twist as you go. And that's basically resistance between the motor and the tires, right? So when there's any kind of resistance in that drive line, it'll cause the truck to kind of tilt because the motor is trying to twist the axle, right? The motor and transmission are trying to output to the axle. And this is turning, and if there's any binding or just any kind of resistance, which there's always going to be some resistance, it's going to cause it to turn because this drive shaft is trying to turn the truck, right? Or turn the diff. And so by having it counter rotating in the back, it helps eliminate some of that because they're going to be turning the opposite direction as the front. That way your axles are still going to have a little bit of twist in the axles, but your body's not going to twist as much because they're countering each other. So that's a good reason to have the counter rotating drive shafts. If you did for some reason want to hook up to the other output shaft, they'd be rotating the same direction, but you would need to swap your diff gear and flip it to the other side so that you're not going in reverse. Another thing, if you're running portals, say you did like a mullet build where you have straight axles on the front, portals on the rear, portals are going to cause your wheels to rotate in the opposite direction as a straight axle. So you would need to either shift to the other output shaft or flip your diff to the other side. And these axles are flippable. The diffs inside are flippable. So that's super cool, but just awesome that we're able to have the counter rotation output on the rear drive shaft. Very, very cool. It does increase the amount of gears that are needed inside the gearbox and transmission housing, but it is there's a lot of benefit to it as well. So we're going to open this up a little bit. I don't want to take it completely apart because they can be kind of a pain to get back together. You definitely need to use the exploded diagram. Even if I show it here in the video, it's going to be hard for you to see and follow exactly the stacking of the gears, but I'll open it up. We'll make sure we got all metal gears in there, see if we've got bearings or bushings. I'm pretty sure they're going to be bushings in these guys. One of the nice things about bushings is that you don't have to maintain them if you do get your trucks wet or dirty and you rinse them off or whatever. Water on the bushings is not a big deal, but water in the bearings can cause rust and can be a big deal. So from a maintenance standpoint, bushings are much better. Now from a performance standpoint, as far as least amount of roll resistance and all that kind of stuff, bearings are going to be better, but they definitely require a lot more maintenance if you get your truck wet, dirty, stuff like that, you know. All right, so this cap should just pop right off. Hopefully we don't pull any gears out when we do this. Oh, they're trying to come out. They're trying to come out on us. Oh man, that's okay. But yeah, there you go. Look at that. All metal gears in there, guys. All metal gears. There's our shift linkage right there. You can see our shift forks. Super cool that they're able to pack all this crazy stuff into these tiny little trucks. I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, this entire gearbox and the pinions that are on here are the same as what's on the Evo and the Evo Pro, the CR18P Evo and Evo Pro gearbox, as well as the FX118. Is very similar, except they're locked in one gear. But same motors, all that stuff's going to be able to mount right up to this. So any brushless systems that are out there, obviously the FearTech stuff and whatnot, that'll mount right up to a CR18P Evo, Evo Pro, and FX118, it'll work here. So that's freaking awesome. There's already some support if you wanted to do an aftermarket brushless system. Say you got the brush system first, or you wanted to upgrade your motor to a different type of motor, you're going to be able to do that. It'll bolt right up. Very cool. I really like on these gearboxes that you have 4 screws, 2 here and these 2 here, to pull this side of the transmission apart so you can get to your motor. You don't have to take all of the rest of the transmission apart if you want to swap motors or pinions or whatnot. And you're able to pull this part out and you have access to your 2 screws to pull your motor off, which is super cool. This is a metal pinion as well, so that's freaking awesome. That pinion count, let's look. It's like it's an 11 tooth pinion there. Super cool. And our main spur gear is pretty good sized. Looks like we got is that a tiny bearing? No, it's just like a metal bushing. Yeah. Which reminds me, I didn't look to see if they were bearings or bushings. Dang it. Dang it, guys. All right, we'll open her back up. Bushings. Yeah, I'm sure you saw it. I just didn't point it out. It's bushings in there. Just wanted to verify for myself. Now, mind you, there's not a lot of spots for bearings or bushings, so it's pretty simplified as far as that's concerned. There's a bushing down in there, and probably one behind this guy here, maybe, because that's a shift gear, so maybe it doesn't sit on anything. Oh no, there is. And there's a washer there, so don't lose that. Little spacer. All right, let's get this guy back together. But I'll let you guys see it real quick. This guy goes in here. And then your whole shift mechanism on this side. Like so. Your shift fork and your gears. Let's go ahead and get all that back together. It's nice and greased, that's for sure. Appreciate that. Remember, don't force it. It should go together nice and smooth. Just gotta wiggle some things, move some gears, spin some shafts, and make sure that things are sitting in there right when you start to push down on it. Again, you don't want to push hard. If it's not going, something's not lining up right, and it should just kind of nicely snap into place, which is not happening right now. What's going on? Feels right. Maybe we need to put our pin in here so we line this guy up. No, something's happening over here. Oof! What is happening here? Aha! Do you see what's going on there? One of our shaft pins came out. We didn't even notice. Again, that's why you got to be super careful taking these guys apart. Make sure you're paying attention. This little shaft pin popped out of one of our gears. I'm not even sure which one, so now we need to investigate that. Actually, it looks like it's pretty simple. Pretty easy to find. It was this first gear here. You can see a little groove in there in our shaft pinhole. We'll just throw this guy back in there, and we should be golden. There we go. Make sure your pin's even. You're good to go. And now you can see on this one, we just had the pin drop out. So when you're taking these guys apart and looking at them, if your gears are coming apart, you want to try to keep all your shafts straight up and down so the pins don't slide in and out. Because that'll definitely cause you to not be able to put your transmission back together. Here we go. Now we're nice and tight. Oh, we missed our bushing here, washer here. That goes between the bushing and the gear. See that? All right, now we should be golden. Let's get this guy back together. Boom, simple as that. See how quick it went together? Yeah. So if it's not going together, you got something wrong. Man, our noob is showing. We had this gear here flipped. So make sure you're looking like this. And then you'll be good to go. Just throw your cap on. Nice and fitting. Your main spur gear. And then your motor and your pinion. Make sure you're still nice and greased up. If you got too much hands on there, you should be good though. One thing I want to show off is how beefy these drive shafts are. I mean, look at that guy. The splines are thick. It's thick all the way to the actual coupler on there. And yeah, that's a beefy drive shaft. It's definitely more beefy than a lot of the other CR18P and FX118 drive shafts. So I highly doubt you're going to have issues unless you're really in a bind and you just push it. But even then, this is looking pretty beefy on that there drive shaft. I definitely dig that. So we're gonna get these drive shafts back on, get the motor and transmission back in the truck, and then we'll look at the Bluetooth. I'm gonna hook up a Bluetooth module and see what comes up on the FearCar app and see what all is tunable through that. And we can also look at the included tuner, and I can show you what that's about. So rotating that shift lever onto the shift linkage there, pretty easy. Just kind of tuck it on, rotate the whole thing around, and then you're able to get it down onto there, and you can get it sitting nice. And then push your drive shaft through, get your transmission kind of lined up, and then we're going to put our drive shafts in before we bolt the whole thing up here. Where are we at? There we go. And you're going to want to make sure you phase your drive shaft. So phasing your drive shaft is making sure that your couplers here, you can see on the end here, are facing the same direction. Another trick is to just have the screws facing the same direction here on every set of drive shafts I've ever seen. If your screws are both facing down on both this end and this end, then you're going to be in phase. But you want to be in phase to make sure that you don't have a lot of vibration in your drive line. So you can see we've got our coupler facing this way, and then down in here we've got a coupler facing that way as well. So that would be in phase. If we were to turn this and have our coupler like this, you can see the fork end is going this way, but then on the transmission side, the fork end is going this way, and that's out of phase. So you don't want that. You definitely don't want that. Just make sure they're both in phase, and it'll prevent binding and, again, vibration at higher speeds. Now this might be kind of a task the way I'm doing it. So it might be easier for you to pull off your drive shaft on the axle side and then put it on as well, but I like to make things difficult. So I just try to keep it all together when I'm putting these in. There we go. So nice and in phase. And now we'll do the back. I love that this is all HPI branded with their little logo in the skid and the Venture on the side rails. Very cool. Even on their diff covers, it's got the little HPI logo. It's kind of everywhere. I love it. Even this back tray you can see underneath here. Oh, it's kind of hard to see, but right there you got their HPI logo in that rear electronics tray. So cool. I love the attention to detail. It just kind of brings it up another level. All right, get this in, and then we'll look at the ESC. Did any of you catch it? I'm curious if any of you guys caught it. We have a small problem. Do you see what it is? Anybody? Anybody? Right there. There's our problem. Watch this. We're going opposite directions. Our front's going backwards and our back's going frontwards. Again, we're noobing out here, or I was testing you. Our drive shaft needs to go into the other output shaft, the opposite output shaft, so that we have the reverse rotation, because that's how our diff's set. All better, all better. All right, let's move on. So another thing I wanted to point out is you can access the power button right in there. You stick your finger up in here, and you're able to turn on the truck from without taking the body off, which is super awesome. And then same on the brushless version. That's the brushed version. The brushless version has the ESC on the back here, and you're able to stick your finger in there, and you can get it in there. It's a little hard if you got really big fingers, but you can get it. And yeah, a little switch right there, and flip it. You could also probably move this ESC back just a tad bit, and you'll be able to access it even easier, because it's just this switch right here. Just in case you were wondering about turning it off and on without opening it up. Again, not that it's hard to open it up. Their latch system is fantastic. Absolutely loving the latch system. Just like that. Super easy latch system. Alrighty. So on this brushed version, all of the ESC settings and controls are going to be through the remote here on the transmitter. So again, all of your trims, dual rates, all that stuff, reverse steering or reverse throttle, and setting your endpoints, all that's going to be the same on actually both of the trucks. However, you can do stuff like reverse throttle through the ESC on the brushless version, but as far as your drag brake's concerned, your forward brake reverse, stuff like that, that's going to be different between the two. On the brushed version, it's going to be these dip switches. Again, forward brake reverse is the first one, so you can switch that to just forward reverse if you'd like. Nickel metal is going to determine, nickel metal versus LiPo determines the low voltage cutoff on this. Leave it set to LiPo on both of them. Again, that's going to be set in the ESC on this, and I don't even think it's changeable on this ESC. So it's already going to have low voltage cutoff set. Your drag brake settings for the brush version are also going to be on here. It's going to be your dip switch 3 and 4. We can try to show a graphic of the different settings there. And then our reverses for 5 and 6 are going to be on here. And that'll be the same over here. Our drag brake settings for over here, though, you're going to have to set through the ESC itself, not the transmitter. So again, on the dip switches, the only things that are going to work for the dip switches on this brushless version is going to be basically your channel 4 and 5. So dip switches 5 and 6. Those are the only two dip switches that are going to do anything on the transmitter. All the rest are going to be set through the ESC itself, through the little dongle that's included. And that's going to be this little guy here. This is the little programming card. You can see we've got an up, down, and a set. And our instructions right here show how to hook it up and use it. It does mention right here 2 and 3S LiPo on this ESC. Again, that doesn't mean that the motor is capable. I know these motors are rated to 2S. If you go to 3S, you're doing it at your own risk. But if you ever upgrade the motor, you can always upgrade it to the Micro Komodo versus the Venom, and then you can go 3S safely using this ESC and this motor. So that's just cool to be able to have that option. Now, as far as all the programming card stuff, you can see it here. Your direction, drag brake, low voltage cutoff, and your BEC output if you decide to upgrade or change your servo. Looks like you can go all the way up to 8.4 volts. I don't know if this servo can handle 8.4 volts, but if you try it and you fry it, you'll know, I guess. I wish there was something that said whether it could be used at 8.4. Maybe I'll reach out and we'll put a note if we find out. If not, I'm not sure. I would just leave it set at whatever it's at. But again, you basically just click through the settings, and that's going to basically change all those different settings for you. Drag brake can be 0, 25, 50, 75, or 100. And then again, your low voltage cutoff. Looks like it shows all the defaults. So counterclockwise, 0 drag brake, 3 volts here, and then 5.5 for our servo output. Again, if you upgrade your servo, you can go to 8.4 if your servo allows it. I do want to change our drag brake to like 25%. I think we're going to be kind of a little low on the drag brake here. And I'd like to increase that a little bit. Yeah, we got like no drag brake right now. So we're going to go ahead and turn our drag brake up just a little bit. And you're going to basically, let's turn our ESC off. We're going to go ahead and unplug the ESC from the receiver. So right there, or channel 2. And you're going to plug that channel 2 in right here. And it's going to be signal, positive, negative. Signal is the yellow. That's going to be the one closest to the buttons. So we'll put our signal in, and then we'll go ahead and turn this guy on. Okay, so we're on setting 1. And looks like it's going to be set up counterclockwise there. We can go ahead and move to the next setting. Or hit set, excuse me. That'll take us to the next setting. It's going to be our drag brake, which is at 0. And we can adjust that by going like this. So setting 2, all 4 is going to be 100% drag brake, but we're going to do like a 25 for now. So we'll just set it here. So option 2, setting 2 right there. Hit set again. You can see the next one, 3 volts for our low voltage cutoff, which we'll leave that fine. And then there we go again. BEC output is going to be setting number 1 for our 4th feature or option. Okay, super simple. Once you've rotated through them all, you should be able to just turn off your ESC. And it should be already saved. It saves kind of on the fly. Let's turn it back on and just kind of verify that. So again, counterclockwise, set again, and now we are on our 25% drag brake. So it saves as soon as you move on to the next set. So very cool there. Super simple. Unplug it, turn it off, and then unplug it and plug it back in. Yellow to the antenna side, signal side. Turn it on. Let's see if our drag brake feels like we got a little bit more drag brake. Just a little bit, not much. Let's increase it some more. We're going to do it one more time. We're going to do 50% drag brake. Again, just showing how easy it is. 50%. Move on, turn it off, plug it back in, turn it back on. Oh yeah, that's way better. That's a much better drag brake. Yeah, and if you want to go more, you can. All right, let's see if the Bluetooth works. All right, so turn this guy off. Got a little Bluetooth dongle in here, and this should just plug right in, no problem. Let's get our phone. Go into our FearCar app. Now this phone hasn't been updated in a minute, so we might need to update our Bluetooth app. Oh, popped right up. There we go. Nice. Lizard Lite, checking for firmware updates. And there you go. You can see all of our firmware version, hardware version. We are updated. There's no updates. It would be in the drop down if there was. You can drop back here. You can change your crawler type to monster truck, which basically lets you have, it's like no drag brake. So you can roll, also enables, I think, forward brake reverse or some other things in there. Change your motor type if you have a different motor that you install. Temperature, change your Bluetooth name, all the factory resets. Let's go ahead and go into telemetry. So you can see our telemetry now. So you can see as I give it throttle. We've also got our running settings. So that's where you change your forward brake reverse, or just forward with brake. You've got your low voltage cutoff here, all the different settings for that. We've got our voltage output. This says it only goes to 6.5, so I don't know if we can actually get to the 8.4 on there, even though the instructions say that. Counterclockwise rotation for our throttle, our startup power, all of our max forward, max reverse, brake, all that stuff. I go deep into this app on another video. You can look that up. This is how you calibrate your remote. So if you end up changing your remote for any reason, you can calibrate your remote. Let's actually do that right now. For some reason, it was reversed. 0 speed. Give it max throttle. Max reverse. Now it knows our endpoints for our throttle. There we go. And we should be golden here. Let's make sure we're still going forward. Oh, reversed. We're reversed. So we will need to go in here and change this to clockwise. There we go. That way it knows what our forward is and what our reverse is from the remote. So always calibrating is super important. Neutral forward, that's kind of your dead zone in your throttle here. So we have wide. If you go to narrow, it's going to start to go at just the tiniest amount of throttle. So you can adjust that if you like. We're going to leave it, put it in normal actually. Your punch, neutral brake, and low speed settings can all be messed with as well. Like I said, I go deep into this full app with another video. I'll probably link it over here. Super awesome that you can use the Bluetooth module though if you happen to have one, and then change it just on Bluetooth. All right, I think that's it. I think we go drive it now. We're gonna drive this guy, and we're gonna drive the brushed guy. We'll do a comparison first, I think, showing just the speed difference and the slow crawl difference on some flat terrain, and then we'll take him out to some rocks. All right, let's check some weights and weight biases on these guys. This is the brushed version. We got the battery in there. Looks like we're at 504 total grams, 53% in the front, 47% in the rear, and then our side to side. Just make sure we're kind of sitting nice and flat. A little bit heavier on the right side, 52%. That is the side the battery sits on, so I'm sure that's part of it. Throw a smaller battery in there and you'll get a lot better weight bias on there. But yeah, 504. And then let's go ahead and do the brushless and see where we're at there. Yeah, 487 there. So just a little bit lighter, 52, 48. And then again, just a little bit heavy on the right side because of that that battery. So yeah, still not bad at all. And it's not going to take much to get a little bit of weight down low on these guys. You can reorganize your electronics a little bit if you really wanted to, I'm sure. Sliding your ESC forward, changing up some of your wiring, maybe. Again, smaller battery, a little bit of brass on the front, maybe a brass diff cover or knuckles, or C-hubs when those come, stuff like that. That'll help quite a bit getting your weight forward. Again, not bad though as it sits straight out of the box. We're already at 53%, so pretty good. And the center of gravity is overall pretty low. These bodies don't seem too heavy. They do have all the lights and stuff in them, so you got to keep that in mind. But yeah, I mean, yeah, they look great and they perform good. So let's go check them out on the trails.
Red beast follows, strong and bold. Two trucks tearing through the trails untold. Brushless fire, lightning fast. Brushed power, built to last. Rock crawling warriors, dirt in their veins. HPI legends, kings of the terrain. Off-road rebels, hear the roar. Toyota SR5's craving more. Climb, red and black, one of a kind. Switchback trail, steep incline. The black one screams, this trail is mine. Big red snarls, steady and true. Side by side, breaking through. Brushless blitz leaves the ground. Brushed grit keeps the pace profound. Throttle down, they carve their names. SR5s are the kings who don't sleep. Remote in hand, the thrill is real. Every turn, the power we feel. Red and black, a clash of might. Under the stars or the noonday light. With brushless speed and brush control. Toyota SR5s, they steal the show. Off-road rebels hear the roar. Toyota SR5s craving more. Through the mud, the rocks, the climb. Red and black, one of a kind. Let the motor sing, let the dirt fly. Toyota SR5s, the newest from HPI.
Well, there it is, ladies and gents. These little guys are awesome. I think HPI did a fantastic job on this release, from getting the licensed body to the color choices. Obviously, you have to have black as a color choice for this 1985 SR5 Toyota Hilux. You gotta have black. Gotta have black. Very cool on all the details. I actually like the wheels and tires. They're a little big. But overall, I think they look great. All the details on the lights. We lost one. When we were bashing it. You're not supposed to bash them, but it had so much pep. And even with all that pep, I mean, you saw the slow crawl side-by-side video. It was just insane. I had to speed up this video twice as fast as the video on that one, just so that you guys weren't sitting there for 10 minutes watching this thing. It was, I mean, you couldn't even tell it was moving when I was like, is that moving? And I saw it, just the tires just barely turning, and I did it with the trim, so it was all just trimmed up just enough to make it move. And yeah, it's got the slow crawl. I mean, but that's to be expected with the FearTech systems. And then it rips. It is fast. So you got to remember the transmissions and the diffs on these guys are the same as the Hobby Plus CR18P, the Evo Pro, and the FX 118s, except again, that FX 118 is locked into a single speed, but it's the same gearing, except it's on straight axles versus portals. So they're not geared as low with the portals. I don't remember if I already mentioned it or not, but these diffs, they'll swap between any of those trucks, and these are using the same gears as what's in the Arctos. The Arctos is geared way down as well, so they tried to gear it down with this smaller ring and pinion in the diff. And so if you have any of those other trucks, you can swap out a rear on one of those and throw it in the front of this guy. It'll give you more wheel speed in the front and then give you less wheel speed in the rear of your other truck, and you basically have over and under drive, which is awesome. We have a video doing that with the Arctos, so if you want to check that out, you can. Anyway, guys, these things are awesome. I love that there's a brushless option and a brushed option, so you can go either way, and you can get either one in either color. So if you want a brushless red truck, you can, and if you want a brushed black truck, you can do that too. Also, if you notice, we got white and white on our fogs here, and then yellow on this one, so kind of just a cool detail that separates them. The trucks are pretty much exactly the same outside of the brushed and brushless system, and then that front servo is metal on this guy, plastic on this guy. They both handle well. They've got plenty of power. You can go up to 7.4 volts on all the servos. Even the shift servo, they can go up to 7.4 volts if you were to swap out to an ESC that allows that. I believe the ESC in here, like I showed, doesn't go quite that high, but still pretty good. And yeah, they are rated up to that high, so that's good to know. Don't know about 3S again on the brushless. You got to be careful. I've seen people do it, but you might fry that Venom motor. They might get warm. Now, one thing to note, when I was doing that slow crawl demonstration, this guy was out there for like 6 or 7 minutes just slow crawling. Like I literally set the camera, walked away, came back, and it wasn't even halfway. But even after that slow crawl, a lot of times that tends to get a brushless motor very hot unless it's censored. And I pulled it up and checked it, felt it with my finger, wasn't hot at all. So I was very impressed by that. So super, super good to know that we weren't going to overheat when we were slow crawling a ton. And then the brush motor never got hot at all. So very, very good there. Guys, these things are just too cool. I love the way they look. I think HPI really knocked it out of the park with them, and a great first release for their small scale crawlers. I would love to see some more trucks. Again, it's a pretty familiar platform, but I would love to see some more scale bodies, licensed bodies, maybe from HPI for some other trucks as well. I love the Toyota, but we always love new bodies. So having other body options, I think, will help them sell more on this platform. And again, because this already is kind of built on an existing platform, with the exception of the straight axles, there's going to be aftermarket upgrade parts already out there for any of that Hobby Plus stuff and the FX 118 stuff. So very good for that. And then obviously all the wheels and tires you could imagine, and other bodies if you want to swap bodies, which would be a sacrilege. These bodies are too cool. But yeah. Pretty much tell me your thoughts on these guys. Why don't you put down in the comments below Marty McFly. If you watched this far, this is a long video, put Marty McFly down in the comments below. It tells us you watched the whole video. I also want to shout out and say huge thanks to all of our channel members. All these guys here get to see these videos before anybody else when I'm allowed to show them. You know, and stuff like this, I couldn't show them early, but every other video that I can, they get to see early without ads, and they also get priority replies to their comments, access to a special channel in our Discord, which if you're into Discord, join it. Down in the description below, we've got a link. But yeah, channel members get to see a lot of stuff early. They also get behind the scenes stuff and, you know, extra entries when we do giveaways, things of that nature. Anyway, if you want to help support the channel, being a channel member is a great way to do it. If you can't be a channel member, totally understand that, but at least click that subscribe button. It's just a click for you, and it means the world to me. It really helps out the channel. And your comments down below and your shares in the communities definitely help out. If you find a video that you like of ours, share it in the community with other people, or somebody that's asking a question, share a link to the video that answers that question. We probably have a video on it. Speaking of communities, we do have a community for these guys. I'll put that down in the description below so you can check that out. It's a Facebook group. And yeah, if you got any questions, that community will be able to help you as well. So definitely awesome to be part of the community, guys. It's a huge part of why I'm in this hobby. I love the community. I love the people in it. And I want to help grow the community, get new people involved, always get new people involved, guys. It's always good to bring an extra truck, hand it off to somebody, let them run it when you're out there running, and get them to experience the hobby and fall in love with it the same way we all did. So anyway, guys, I'm rambling. That's why I have a YouTube channel. I like to talk, I guess. But yeah, get out there, build something awesome, guys. Build a car, build a course, and build a community. And then don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell like you do at the end of videos you like and channels you want to support. And then get out there and smash it, crash it, and bash it. Race, crawl, bash, all those things. Just don't break the expensive parts.